Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Grab a drink, grab a snack. We are going to be chatting like old best friends about all of the things. This video is going to be literally all over the place, and I'm okay with that, as long as you are. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you're a frequent visitor. Today we're going to be talking about what it's like to love somebody that has borderline personality disorder. What it's like to be a friend or a partner of somebody that has borderline personality disorder, okay? I stumbled upon a channel that blew my fucking mind, and it made me mourn. It made me mourn my own mother, because I was like, wow, this lady's so cool that if my mom had any fucking ounce of self-awareness, she could make videos like this. And once upon a time, I thought my mom had borderline personality disorder, but it's way worse than that, okay? Thinking my mom has borderline personality disorder, that's a fucking compliment to my mother. But what I realized is that this channel I stumbled upon is giving me the wisdom and the clarity that I should have gotten from my own mother, actually, but that's never gonna happen, okay? So, somebody that has borderline personality disorder, they have a lot of symptoms that cross-pollinate with narcissism, even malignant narcissism. So, they're not as bad as malignant narcissists. They could never be. They could never be, but they can be assholes. They can be, okay? And to make this video and not address that they can be assholes would be a lie, okay? They can be. But in this video, I want you to lean in close. I want you to lean in close and try to understand what it would be like if you gave them grace, okay? Pause this video if you don't know what grace is. Look it up. Grace. Give them grace, okay? Now, you don't have to give everybody grace. I mean, you should try, right? You should try. But when it comes to borderline personality disorder people, this thing about giving them grace is literally it's your strongest power sometimes, okay? So, a lot of you watching actually you're aware that I'm involved in Girl World, and I follow the stories between Amberlynn Reid and Foodie Beauty and just other people like them, right? And I do believe that Amberlynn Reid has borderline personality disorder. That is a belief that I have. I believe that even before she came forth and said that she got it as a diagnosis, okay? Well, anyway, long story short, I found a channel, and her name is Sandra, and she's freaking amazing, and a lot of the topics that I have been discussing kind of relate to where this video is going. And so if you've been following some of my journey, you kind of understand, I do some armchair psychology sometimes. My education doesn't surround psychology. I just do it to understand the people around me and what I'm dealing with, okay? That's another thing. Understand what you're dealing with, okay? That gives you a lot of power to be able to give them a lot of grace, okay? Here's how that works, okay? Do you know, a lot of people don't like Geminis? Like I said, this video is going to be all over the place, so lean in and get a drink, okay? Some people, a lot of people, they don't like Geminis, okay? There are even businesses who, through the hiring process, if they find out that you're a Gemini, they will not hire you. And if you are a Gemini watching this video, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but if you were rejected in some way, and there was really no explanation for it, could be that you're a Gemini, okay? Now, I have a friend, and her, really close friend that she has that lives next to her is, involved in her life, is a Gemini. And one day, I just straight up asked her, I was like, how do you fucking deal with that? She would come to me and she'd be like, this is what she did this week, this is what she did last week, and I'd be like, how do you deal with that? How do you stay being her friend and deal with her behavior? They can be real passive-aggressive, two-faced, they're real weird, you know? And she was like, well, you know what, Daphne, I just think about it like this. I know about astrology, and I know what I'm getting with a Gemini, so I don't expect anything different or anything more. I know what I'm getting, okay? So, if you're dealing with somebody with borderline personality disorder, I mean, it's almost okay, your 3-year-old comes up to you and they've drawn you a picture, and it's not very good because they're 3 years old, right? Just give them the grace of God and consider, like, well, actually for them, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I know what I'm going to get because they're 3 years old, right? I know that when dealing with somebody with borderline personality disorder, I'm chronically going to get kind of abused sometimes, passive-aggressively, like, tortured, and it isn't always pretty, right? And sometimes in the past, I have had to cut these friends off, and I feel like that when I did that, all I did was, like, further damage them, you know what I mean? Like, just further damage them. And if you need to get away from somebody that has borderline personality disorder, then you need to get away from them, right? If your safety is at risk, if there's a problem that you need to kind of escape, you can get yourself to safety. But because they have borderline personality disorder, you still might want to check up on them somehow through a third party, or text them, or find a way to give them the grace that you would want someone to give you if you had this mental illness, okay? Now, I've done some research that I'm going to share with you guys. Again, I'm just armchair psychologist over here. I'm just going to talk with you like we're buddies over a cup of coffee. This video, if anything, is for educational purposes, entertainment purposes, and speaking of entertainment purposes, one of the whole reasons I'm making this video is to discuss with you my new book club. This is what I'm calling it. There's no book club. There's no book club, okay? There's no fees, there's no no meetings, there's no forum, there's no pop quiz. You're good, okay? Simple, right? It's all about fun. And this is really fun, okay? So, this lady that I found on YouTube, that is like my internet mommy, she is so cool, okay? And if you visit her channel, you be fucking nice to her, okay? You be nice to her. Not just because she has borderline personality disorder, but because I fucking said so, and she fucking deserves it, and I know that she does, okay? She wrote this really amazing book, okay? This is one of, I think, 2-3 dozen books that she has written, okay? It's called Love Bomb by a Harvard Psychologist. You can find her channel on YouTube, which is just her name, Sandra Lee Wiley. And she talks about, you know, writing these books and everything that went into writing these books and what happened. And her therapist that she went to see for her borderline personality disorder 20 years ago was kind of an asshole. Now, shocker. Well, I know, look for your fucking shocked face, right? I pretty much have never met, I'm just spilling my drink everywhere. I pretty much have never met a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a therapist that I could really respect. They all seem burnt out with no compassion. And I'm sorry if you're watching this and you are a therapist, like, just take a break and go be a flight attendant and just, like, get your head right so that you can come back and treat your patients with some compassion. That's actually a thing that nurses can do sometimes. Like, I actually work with some nurses, they're like, you know, every 6 months, I take 6 months off. And I'm a waitress, or I'm a flight attendant, and I get my head right, because after 6 months of this, I start treating people like crap, and I start, like, being snippy, and I'm not having the compassion for my patients that I had when I first started. So, like, when therapists get burnt out, like, they can go do something else to reset themselves so that they can have compassion again. But in my experience, therapists want to fuck me. Even the one female therapist that I had wanted to fuck me, and they don't really have compassion. Now, the reason this is entertaining is because this book is super juicy, and she was, like, in his office across the hall from his wife's office. They were 2 doctors practicing together, and he was, like, fooling around with her and flirting her and love bombing her while she was supposed to be receiving therapy for borderline personality disorder, and his wife was right across the hall. I mean, what the fuck, right? What the fuck? Well, anyway, this book is really good because it's just like emails that they send each other back and forth. And this is not a book that you would have found otherwise. This is not a book that you would have found if I didn't make this video. So, if you're stumbling upon this video and this resonates, guys, girls, this was so juicy. I read it in like 1.5 days. Like, I wow, that was amazing. And because it's self-published, she has, you know, given this disclaimer that, you know, it's not edited and it's not perfect, and I'm sorry, but there are some spelling errors. Well, I found it to be really good nonetheless. And the spelling errors I found are, like, kind of organic because they happen within the emails that they've sent back and forth. That's just a natural thing that would happen, you know? Well, Do you guys remember when Cat Williams said, like, 2024, like, everything is coming out in 2024? Well, I think that is true, and it's even for, like, the smallest corners of the internet and the smallest corners of the world that you might imagine. So, it's all coming out, okay? Well, anyway, for one of my friends who has borderline personality disorder, for Christmas, I got them this workbook. And I flipped through it, and I have looked at its cousins on Amazon. Now, I recommend this as something that you might want to get somebody who has borderline personality disorder, whether they are in therapy or they are not in therapy. Definitely if they're not in therapy, this is a really good, gentle push in just the right direction, okay? Just a gentle push, because they don't need to go talk to anybody to do this. They don't need to pay anybody to do this. They can do this on their own time, in their own house. Like, this is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and from what I understand, from the research that I've done, this is, like, wildly helpful. Wildly. Again, I'm just doing this as armchair psychologist. I'm not a doctor, but, like, this has been, like, wildly helpful. Like, when I read the reviews and I see videos of people who have done this, this seems to be really helpful. Now, that's for the person who has borderline personality disorder. Now, if you're dealing with somebody who has borderline personality disorder, there's something for you. Yes, there are two workbooks. So if you have a friend or a loved one, they're a little bit different. So there is Married to Borderline Personality Disorder, and you'll find that in the same place you find this. Just go to Amazon. I'm not leaving the link. If you know how to use it, you know how to use it. You know where to go. You'll probably find it at Barnes & Noble. But anyway, if you have a friend that has borderline personality disorder, you can read and buy the book Loving Someone with BPD. And I'm pretty sure that based on what I've researched, what I've read about this, that would really help you and them, right? Now, somebody with borderline personality disorder they've got some really extreme emotions that don't really facilitate the healing or the communication. Like, they just kind of like fester within the person, that I've noticed, okay? And sometimes what you need to do is open those lines of communication and to respond to their, like, if they have negativity, or, you know, they can fly into a psychotic rage or begin to do passive-aggressive behavior against you. Like, just, like, continue to love them the best that you can, to continue to reach out and let them know that you care. And if you don't, and if you, like, decide to ghost them, and you know that they have borderline personality disorder, know this, that they might kill themselves. They might become homeless. They might start drinking alcohol. They might start self-harming and self-medicating. And it's getting me emotional to talk about it, because it's like, it's so real, and I've seen it, like, so many times in my life. And we'll get to talking about malignant narcissism and mothers that have malignant narcissism in another video. But for this video, it's really about this book report and borderline personality disorder. And I encourage anybody who just wants a juicy read, like, if you just want something juicy, this is like a cross between, like, a gossip magazine and like a smut novel. It's really good. It's really good. I think you should check that out. But also, the call to action, I've messaged her and I've asked her, I've kind of interviewed her before I made this video, so I have information so that I can make a better video to help her and to also help you, okay? The call to action is that she says that you shouldn't suck or fuck your therapist. This is one of the things I really love about her. She's honest. She's not afraid to tell you the truth. Now, when dealing with someone who has malignant narcissism, they can't tell the truth. They can't. They live a lie. So, another call to action is don't always trust your therapist. They're not really always trustworthy, even though you're supposed to. You're supposed to trust them. You're supposed to be able to, you know. And to look out for therapists who have compassion fatigue and burnout. I agree. Also, go subscribe to Sandy, and she will blow your mind with her beauty and her honesty and her wisdom and how well she has done at managing this. Go get her book. I love you guys. Bye.